My name's Adele Onyango and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 174 of Legally Clueless. Thank you for rocking with this podcast. Over 150 episodes, that's huge. If this is your first time, clearly you have very many episodes to catch up on, but welcome nonetheless. Head over to www.legallycluelessafrica.com to be part of our community, to find out more about our workshops, and our first ever event is coming up. I'll give you more details on that a little later in this episode, but first listen to this.
Because now my high school, I don't know what happened to my mom, but she started drinking. Don't forget, we didn't have a lot of money, so she'll spend all the little money we had on alcohol, and then when she could not get the money, she started doing changa. I was left in Nairobi with my dad-born sister and my younger brother and my alcoholic mom. When she was not drinking, she was amazing. When she was drinking, it was another thing. We're just sitting in her mom's grocery kibanda, chopping skumas, and these two acrobatic guys who are friends with us came, and they're like, you girls, if you want, you can come practice with us. That's how I got into fitness. Like, I've never been physically active. The following morning, I woke up and I thought I had a fever, and these guys came the following morning. We couldn't walk. It's not like how you go to the gym and we couldn't walk. Like, everything was hurting. Then we started like really making real money with performing art.
I completely know that feeling. Of exercising one day and then you wake up the next day and hey, your body is not yours. It is not yours. In fact, that's how I ended up quitting the gym after going there once. I blamed the instructor. I was like, I don't think he knew what he was doing. When in reality, it was just me being completely out of shape. Anyway, that is Catherine's story, and you're going to be listening to that powerful, inspiring, hilarious at some point story a little later in this episode, as well as how Catherine is quickly going to become a member of our Legally Clueless community. Okay, before we get into that, let's check out the song of the week. I really like this song. I really do. I do not know the lyrics and it's so super new that the lyrics aren't out yet, so I'm probably singing my own nonsense, but there's something very nice and inviting about the song. So it's off of Burna Boy's latest album, and the name of the song is Roller Coaster. It features J Balvin. I really dig this song. I really do. And I want to know if you do too. So how's about you check it out? Head over to the show notes or just check out Roller Coaster by Burna Boy on YouTube. But I've put a link to it in the show notes to make it easier for you. Okay, before we jump into the big news that I have for you, I wanted to share something that's been occurring to me over the last couple of weeks, probably even months. I just didn't have the words to put it into to share it with you, but I think I have the words now. And it has everything to do with abundance. So especially when it comes to my relationship with money, it's quite jaded. It's quite influenced by a lot of trauma and a lot of fears. And so that can be quite limiting, even when it comes to something like investing. I'd rather hoard my money and just not let go of it at all, because I then start feeling and it's not even a fear of losing money, it's the meaning behind that. So it means I would have to rely on somebody else. It means I would have to be vulnerable with somebody else. It means, I think I even gender it in terms of I never ever want to ask a man for money ever. And when I have that mindset, what happens is fear is leading the way and not a lot of creating, even in terms of my business or just in terms of doing things for me happen, because fear just inhibits that. And I've just started to keep telling myself that everything you need to be your best self is seeking you. And so my job is to put my head down and do the work. It's to be smart about my money. It's to be less fearful and to interrogate, why do I attach certain meanings to money, and then separate what's true and what's false there. So the end goal is to ensure that the fear of not having doesn't paralyze my mindset and doesn't lead. It can be there in the background because I feel a little of it is not too bad, but it can't govern everything. It can't be the leader of holding us back from creating things or from making any decisions, because fear will just not let you do that. And so it's to come into the space of creating things, to come into the space of making financial decisions with a mindset of abundance. I really hope I've captured it in those words. I really hope you understand. And I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to DM or even email podcasts@adelonyango.com if you have difficulty when it comes to your relationship with money. I'm in that phase, and it's something I'm trying to work through both myself and with my therapist. Yeah, I'd like to hear if am I the only one who's having these strange issues, okay? Anyway, let's move on to some good news. So, Legally Clueless Africa is having its first ever event. Yay! I am so proud and so terrified, but again, fear is not leading us. I'm just so proud. I'm just so happy because I finally cracked it. You know, initially, do you remember before COVID, we were meant to have a storytelling event, which I've not completely deleted, like that can still definitely happen, but I just felt like, it wasn't exactly what I wanted the more I mulled over it during the pandemic. I want this space to be a community where we leave feeling fuller. So whatever you interact with on Legally Clueless Africa, I want you to leave feeling fuller. You know that feeling you get when you listen to a story and it inspires you, or you feel less alone? Or when you watch the video series, or when you watch the tour series. That's what I want from our workshops and events for you. Yes, we can have events to have fun, and we can definitely have fun while we're becoming fuller. But I just want the fullness seeking to be the guider, the first thing you get from our events, and I'm very happy that we cracked it. So our first event is a yoga well-being event, and this is for women who want to process trauma or some difficulty or stress that we've been through. And the reason that this is important is when we think about trauma and how we process it, a lot of the time we focus on processing trauma in how it has affected or influenced our minds, forgetting that trauma actually also rests in our physical bodies. I remember going for a massage with an actual massage therapist at a point when I was super stressed, super exhausted, emotionally drained, and crying after the massage. And, I had like a speaking session with her afterwards, and she was like, "You're going through something emotional. The fatigue, the stress is not a physical one. It's not a work one." She's like, "You are navigating something on an emotional level." And I remember that moment, remembering that, stress, trauma, all of these difficulties we go through or we experience actually do sit somewhere in our bodies, but we never process that. And so this is one of the things we're going to be doing in this yoga well-being event that I want you to come for. And the two yogis who are going to be taking us through it are two fantastic African women, Catherine, whose story you're going to listen to a little later, and Julie. So 3 things are going to happen at this yoga well-being session. There's going to be body movement. Of course, you have to come in very comfortable clothes. And when I say this, don't get scared because you've never experienced yoga before. No, it's going to be very beginner friendly because yours truly is very stiff. So if it's going to work for me, it's going to work for you too. So that's one thing. The second thing we're going to do is meditation, which I think is something very exciting, but also very necessary to learn and to do. And then the third thing is probably my favorite. We're going to have sharing circles. So you can bring some writing material, a notebook where you journal, and it's just going to be a moment for us as a group to reflect on the things we're going through, reflect on our feelings. It's a very intimate event. Only 20 spots. So that means you need to get your tickets really quick. So the details. This yoga well-being event is going to be on the 6th of August from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in Nairobi. We're going to provide lunch as well. Tickets are 4,000 bob. And if you go to www.legallycluelessafrica.com and you check out our events, there's more information there. So once again, it's 6th August, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to make sure you have some nice hearty lunch. We're going to do body movement, meditation, sharing circles. Even just saying it is like so exciting. It's so exciting for me. Yeah, so just go to legallycluelessafrica.com for more information on how you can get your tickets. Very, very limited event because of the nature of it. It has to be intimate, so only 20 spaces are open. So in the lead up to that, I want you to get to know one of our yogis. Her name is Catherine, and her story is so inspiring. And really, it's about how yoga saved her and her mom's lives. 100 African stories on Legally Clueless. Stories from Africa.
My name is Catherine Njeri. You can call me Catherine or you can call me Njeri. It's fine. And I'm from Nairobi, Kenya, but I was born in Murang'a. I grew up in Kariobangi North. It's like next to Korokocho, and Korokocho is the second biggest slum in Nairobi. No, actually in Kenya. In Kenya, yeah. After Kibera, I grew up with a single mom. I'm the firstborn of my family for the longest time, but along the way, I kind of gained an older sister, same age, but a few months older. And we are now 6 in my family. So I have the sister that I grew up with that we kind of adopted, and then 5 for my siblings. So 4 sisters, 1 brother. When you're growing up in Kariobangi, you think it's normal. So I kind of thought it was normal. My mom was a single mom. Early in life, she was all good because she'll go do vibarua and we'll go to bed like maybe without a meal. Like having 2 meals a day was a normal thing. So growing up, that was normal because it was happening around with everyone. And I know if we didn't have food, we could go to our neighbor and they'll share. If our neighbor didn't have food, they'll come to our place, which by the way should not be normal for a kid. like no kid should grow up without like at least 3 meals in a day. And I went through my primary school nice and well. I will go all the way to Dandora because again, school fees. So we found whichever was cheap and good school. My mom made sure we went to a good school, but that she could afford. So we went all the way to Dandora. So imagine from Kariobangi, I'll walk through Korokocho and then to Dandora for my primary school. Maybe for a kid, 45 minutes to 1 hour. And I'm talking about walking through like the slums, like actual slums. And then there was a river, Nairobi River. I will cross the bridge. And then what's crazy is like as a kid, there's a bridge, then I coach a good bridge. But then there's these pipes. I don't know whether they're sewer pipes or wherever they were. But as kids, we decided to walk on, we will decide to not use the bridge, but we use the pipes. Come to thinking about it now, that was crazy. But there was a bridge, but no one was supervising us. So we did that. So it was like between 45 minutes and 1 hour walk, so to school and back. I'll say early morning because it was a lot of kids, it was safer. But if you're late and you miss the group, it wasn't as safe, especially for a kid to be walking to school. And it's not safe I'm not saying like anyone will kidnap me, but there's a lot of like violence happening. So you might witness a robbery, you might witness a fight, you might be caught in like 2 gangs fighting. And also one day I was coming from school, I think I was around class 7, so I was a little bit older in my teenagehood, like 13, and I was stopped by a cop and they checked my bag. And I'm like, what did I do? And I'm like, what are they looking for? And they're like, they don't answer. Stop you, go through your books. And then I think was the only one time I was afraid. I was afraid of the cops. I was stopped by a cop. And then that was my primary, kind of, I think, I had a pretty good life in primary compared to my high school. Because now my high school, I don't know what happened to my mom, but she started drinking a lot. So she was drinking like, partying as a normal human, or like whatever people think normal partying is. But then she started really, really drinking, and she became very addicted to alcohol. Don't forget, we didn't have a lot of money, so she'll spend all the little money we had on alcohol, and then when she could not get the money, she started doing changa. So the local brew that's very dangerous. And then that was when I was in high school. And I had a small brother. Like my mom started drinking when he was like 2 years. So you can imagine I'm a teenager, and then I have a sister who's like a year younger than me, and another sister, and then a brother who's like toddler, and I have a life to live. And then my mom will disappear for 3 days, and we had no idea where she is. And we don't have a babysitter, and I have to go to school. My sisters have to go to school. It got so bad that my grandparents took my sister, my second born sister, and they're like, yeah, now you can deal with the rest. And I'm like, take the baby, like, I don't know. But I didn't have so much understanding. So that's when I was going to Form 1. So my younger sister, who's the second born, went to live with my grandparents. And I was left in Nairobi with my third born sister and my younger brother and my alcoholic mom. When she was not drinking, she was amazing. Yeah. When she was drinking, it was another thing. I kind of naturally know how to make people's hair. Like I can do anything with your hair, like whatever you want me to do it naturally. Like I didn't go to school for that. So I started doing hair when I was really young. So I did my sister's hairs. My mom will come and her friends will, bring her the kids. So I was making money by the time I was in Form 1 by doing hair. But in my young mind, I didn't know we needed to pay rent. So all I knew was like, my kids, go to the Mutumba market, get our siblings the best, clothes we can get at the cheapest, and feed them. But we will pay rent. So we got kicked a lot out of the houses a lot. So we moved houses because of rent. Still in Kariobangi, you just move to the next plot. Like whoever my mom will go and like sweet talk, you just move into the next plot. So that was my high school, my whole high school. My mom was really alcoholic, and that's when I became really introverted. So I didn't talk to people. I had like 2 friends. I think I was really a sad kid, really sad. And I can say I did not get to enjoy my teenagehood because I was a mom. Yeah. I was taking care of my siblings. Luckily, I was in a day school and it was very close. So from walking 45 minutes, now I was just walking 2 minutes to my high school. And because my mom was away so much, or we didn't know when she will be back, or if we even have food, my high school had a feeding program, but it was githeri. So, and githeri is a mixture of beans and maize. But then because it was Catholic supported, sometimes we'll get lentils, kamande. That was the best time we'll get. And sometimes they'll give us avocado. And I'm talking about like over 1,000 high schoolers. But it was that for the 4 years I was in school over lunchtime. And then I'll eat lunch. And then because there was this, I don't know what Jumuiya is in English, but it's like a group. So for Catholic church, I'm not Catholic, but I grew up around Catholic. They have groups. These groups that meet like different areas, mostly women. And these groups will be cooking our meals. So one time will be group A, next time will be group B, group C. And I used to know this mama from a group. So they'll rotate, I think, every 3 months. And then she introduced me to all these other mamas who are cooking, all these women who are cooking. And I'll go get my food, eat, and then take my dish back, and they'll serve me more food. I'll go at 4 p.m., pick my dish, and then bring my kids. Not my kids, my siblings, the githeri. Because I don't know whether, my sister managed to eat her lunch because she was in primary school. I don't know whether my brother was fed by our neighbors. I don't know if my mom was home. But most of the time, she'll be home. So that's like how we survived high school. Githeri, and me carrying some githeri home. But I didn't carry all the time. Sometimes I'll be like the rebel teenager, like, not bringing... and then I almost left high school in Form 3. I think I didn't go to, I missed school a lot because then my mom started becoming violent. So she'll come home drunk and then she'll like start yelling or hitting us. And my baby sister was getting it the most and we'll run away at night. I think we slept in Matanga. What is Matanga? No, the disco Matanga. I don't. When somebody dies, especially in the slums, they don't have money to bury them. Mm-hmm. So we do this kind of harambe, but it's Matanga. So you go to Matanga and you changisha at night and dancing. Mm-hmm. It's not safe for a teenage girl because then what happens is you'll go, I don't have money, and because all the money I have to make cooler. So you go and all the ladies will line up for like somebody would go like, okay, 10 shillings, I'm dancing with you, and 10 shillings, I'm dancing with you. It was all fun and all that, but you don't know who you're gonna dance with. You don't know whether they're a bad person. You don't know who will follow you when you go home, because there was a lot of raping around, especially gang raping around my neighborhood. So if you go to Disco Matanga, you really need to like find a crew, find people who they'll take me home after when you're done, because I ran away from my mom and now she's blacked out and I don't want to go back. So I started missing school because my mom's biggest worry was making sure we go to school. Like, she kind of found a way to pay school fees. And then so my punishment to her was not going to school. Like, that was like, I'm not going to school, and I'll make sure you saw me. I didn't go to school, and then she'll be worried, and that's like was my punishment to her. And she'll be good for a while, and then she'll come back and do it again, and then I'll miss school. But that was crazy. That like Form 3 was my craziest year because of like being able to sleeping out, neighbors giving us somewhere to sleep. I also like ran away and went to my aunt's place, who was not a better person to be with. She wasn't physically abusive, but she was very emotionally abusive. She'll make sure I thought she was the only person in the world who I can live with. I think emotional abuse was worse for me than the actual physical abuse. And, this is my mom and my aunt. I'm like, who the hell are you? And I also grew to become so defensive. So everyone who was nice to me, I thought they wanted something from me. And I was like, nope. So I had like a protective layer around me. And I was like, I thought everybody was out to get me. By the time I was in Form 4, now it was worse for my mom. She wasn't even paying school fees. So I finished high school, Form 4 with bursaries. A lot of them, people get like one every term, but I'll go and clean like so they give bursaries to our elders, village elders, elders, our neighborhood, but our elder was a woman, so I go clean her dishes, be nice to her. I was like friends with her granddaughters. I'll tell her if my mom was drunk yesterday, I'll just go and be really nice to her, and she was nice. So she used to give me like 3 bursaries. That was enough for like 2 terms. And I finished my high school. The last term I paid from my hairdressing things. And I swear after I finish high school, I'm moving out. So how I grew up is like my whole life. When I was growing up, it was one room. I'm not talking about 1 bedroom. 1 room. So it's a plot of a bunch, like 8 families in 8 rooms. So we're talking about 8 rooms and 1 bathroom. That's how I grew up. So that's where the bedroom is, the kitchen is, everything is there. No TV, definitely no TV. And we have a toilet that all these 8 families are sharing, and we're taking a shower in there. And we are so lucky if we even have a toilet, because we have people who used to use our community toilets. And I was like, after I'm done with high school, because there's no way I can live with my mom, because I know after I'm done with high school, it will just get worse. I'll be responsible for all this. I moved out with my adopted sister. We moved out, and then we moved into like a really tiny room. 4 girls, because I had friends who were going through the same. 4 girls in a very small room. Our bed could not fit. So it was mattress, wall to wall, and a stove, kerosene stove. We all stole, we went to our houses and stole an utensils. So my friend went and took like 2 sufurias. I went and took like a mutungi, like for water, and spoons, and and then our house was fine. So we have somewhere to cook and we have somewhere to sleep. And I think that was the most proudest moment of my life. Like, I felt like nimefika. Like, I'm independent. I don't have to worry about if my mom will come at night drunk and hit everyone. And I was so happy. But the whole time, if you look at my story, all I cared about is like, are my siblings okay? Is everybody around me safe? Because I didn't even tell a lot of people growing up like I was going through the same, because I'm like, I don't want to bother you. If you came to me, you have a problem, I'll help you. And I knew I wanted to do something for the community. I knew like I wanted to do something for the community, but I didn't know what, because I'm not exposed to anything. Like my friends or people who are older than us, all they think about is like dressing up nicely, and all the men a majority of the men were robbers or thugs, and like the role models were like, when you grow up, I just want to get married to the baddest boy in the neighborhood, or I want to be like the baddest girl in the neighborhood, and who can fight, and who can protect herself, which is crazy, because those are not role models that we're supposed to, but we didn't have like positive we had role models, not positive role models. And I knew I was like, I wanted to do something for the community. I wanted to do something for Kariobangi, but I didn't know what. So after high school, now what? You left your house, you don't have a job, you don't know what's next. We have 2 sufurias and a mattress and 4 girls in like this tiny house. I'm the only one, doing hair. The sister that I say we adopted, her mom is still there. We adopted her after her dad died. Used to sell sukuma wiki kale, vegetables. So we will go to her mom's place and chop the vegetables for the customers, and she'll feed us. Not give us money, like feed us. And so how my life changed was one day, this is after high school. We're just sitting in her mom's grocery kibanda, chopping skumas. And these 2 acrobatic guys who are friends with us came, and they're like, you girls, if you want, you can come practice with us. Don't just sit here and, chop your skuma. Come, let's go practice with us. And the mom was like, really annoyed with us. Yeah, go do something. Like, the mom is like kicking us. Like, I'm spending too much money on you girls, you go. So the following morning, we're like, okay, let's go. And that's how I got into fitness. Like, I've never been physically active. PE, I was like watching people do PE. I was the cheering person who, like, if you're doing anything, I'll just sit and watch. And then one day, like, when I'm like 18, almost 19, I go into an acrobatic workout. Yeah. And I was like, what can go wrong? Oh my God, Adele, hey. Like the farthest I've been, like I think the only time I was running, it was when I was in danger. And now I'm in this public hall. So the good thing about Kariobangi, and I think a lot of slums, we have community halls. They're really nice, like city council halls. They make them and you can use it for free. Nice. We went there, it was just 2 girls, me and my friend, or this bunch of very fit guys. They're doing like somersault, they're doing handstands, like, I don't know, they're carrying 5 people on top of them. And we're like, never worked out. And we did so much workout. We did like aerobics. We started with like jogging around the hall, and then we did aerobics, and then we did like stretchings. We were crawling under the benches. We were jumping over, we were doing handstands. We were stretching in crazy ways that I've never, stretched. And as a beginner, and because like I was excited, like I don't know what happens the first time I did it, I was so excited. I was doing everything and I was happy, and I was calling the 2 guys who took us. They're like, Ebuana, look at me, like doing push-ups. Obviously I know they were horrible push-ups. I thought I was killing it. The following morning, I woke up and I thought I had a fever. And now, so this is what happens. So we moved to that tiny house. And then my sister, who was our second born, got a baby when she was in high school. So by the time we're getting to Form 4. So she had a baby at home. I leave her home. And then we had to come back home because now she had to go back to school. And now her daughter have no one to watch her. So we had to move out of the tiny... We didn't move, like we kept paying rent because we knew... Like as soon as my mom got home... it's her time to take care of her granddaughter. So we moved back to with my mom. And now because she had now my brother and the granddaughter, she found a work and she was kind of stable. She was still drinking, but she had a work. She was going to work. And this guy, so when we came back from workout, we slept at my mom's. And these guys came the following morning. We couldn't walk. And I'm not joking. Like, it's not like how you go to the gym and the following. We couldn't walk. Like, everything was hurting. Even like nails. Like, everything was hurting. I couldn't go to the toilet. Like, I was in so much pain. Like, we had fever. Mm-hmm. And the guys were like, if you come back, you will feel better. But we couldn't walk, so we can't come back today. And they're like, okay, come back tomorrow. It was still worse, but we went back the following day. And then we kept going back because we didn't go. We went back and then it got better. We were no longer in so much pain. And then we kept going back because we're like, you just need the pain to go away. And we kept going back and we kept. And then a few other girls because we went to Madare now, that's like another 20 minutes walk away from, or 30 minutes walk from Kariobangi. We were doing our workout in Mathare. I don't know, I think because a lot of acrobats were there. We have halls in Kariobangi, but we went in Mathare. And other girls from the neighborhood there these 2 girls who were doing acrobatics. And then they came, and all of a sudden our friends from Kariobangi were like, oh, you go to do acrobatics, we're gonna join. By the time we were like 1 month in, we had like 7 girls. And that's all we needed to form an acrobatic group. And then after we were 7, so these guys who took us became our official trainers. And they formed a group called the Ghetto Girls Acrobats. And I was the group leader. And a lot of people were like, don't call yourself the Ghetto Girls Acrobats. You know, when you say the ghetto, people say the ghetto. And I'm like, yeah, all they hear when they see the ghetto, all they hear is all the negativity. They need to hear the ghetto and see something good. And like, we're going to show the positive side of the ghetto. So we didn't drop the name. We were called the Ghetto Girls Acrobats. We were performing, and Sarakasi Trust founders. And we started now training with Sarakasi at the go down, but then they were at the go down before they moved to Ngara. Then we started like really making real money with performing art. And as girls, we were really popular. We used to perform like at the showground every year, or Women's Day, anything to do with women, anything to do with men, any events happening around, we would perform. And then we moved into like not a bigger house, but a nicer. Now we could have a bed. So now we still the 4 girls acrobats. We all moved together, and some girls decided to be living on their own. We could afford, but when I say we could afford, we were making like 4,000 a month, which was a lot of money. Like, I know, because I used to pay my rent, pay my food, and buy food for my mom. And then in 2007, there was a post-election violence. So now I'm a full-time acrobat, like 1 year into acrobatics. And with Sarakasi Trust, we formed a circus called Amani Circus. And then with Amani Circus, there was a lot of people who were displaced by the war. So the government created the IDPs. We started performing in those IDPs. So we'll go to like a camp, and then we will perform. So we had acrobats, we have drummers, we had singers, we had dancers, and then we had all of a sudden we have this yoga teacher. And I'm like, okay, as an acrobat, I thought I was doing something for the community that I really wanted, because we used to do performances in Kariobangi, like freak performances. We'll gather people, like some organization will be like, we're doing like a crime people movement project, like no crime movement or stop gender-based movement. And then we go perform for free. And people were loving it. We were popular. Like now, like when I was growing up, I was kind of a bad girl. I was the kind of a girl, because I was so protective, and so I was really rude. So I was the kind of girl that all the parents told their kids, I don't want to see you with Njeri. No, it's Kona and Njeri. Like, she's bad influence, she's bad news, don't go near her. And then, because also, like, don't forget, when my mom used to kick us out of the house, nobody knew she was kicking us. So they thought I would sneak out and go to Matanga, which is a very naughty thing to do. Like, it was like you're very indisciplined. So they're like, Anendanga Matanga, I don't want to see you with her. But then now I'm doing acrobatics, and now the moms are calling, hey, take my daughter with you. Now I'm becoming like really popular, like in a good way. Like all these, like all the girls wanted to be around us. All the moms were using us as, good examples. See, she turned her life around. You should be like her. You take my daughter, take her to Sarakasi, do this. And I was laughing. I was like, I made it in life. This is me. This is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And then I met this yoga teacher in this camp. Like, I think we were somewhere, either Karura or somewhere near Nakuru. I can't remember. It was very traumatic time of the war, because I remember we had to go with security or something. It was hard. And we got into the camp. You get into the camp, so the tent was round, and there was like a big space at the center. And then you went into the camp, and there's so much tension. Don't forget, we're also afraid, because we are strangers, and strangers are not good, especially when there's war. We don't know what's going to happen. And then you walk in, there's so much tension in the camp. You can see the groups. Group over there, group over there, group over there. You can see people are keeping to themselves. And then we start performing, they have to come and see. And as acrobats, they watch, and they're happy. They're like, magic, hey, wasichana. They're happy. Dancers will dance, drama, singers will do. And then the yoga teacher, her name is Paige, will come, and all of us everybody in the camp, all the performing artists will do yoga. So we formed a giant circle around, and then we were doing yoga, and there's this pose called mountain pose, and you go like mountain pose, and we do mountain pose, and they're like, okay, turn your palms out, touch your palms to your neighbor, and you'll touch your palms to your neighbor with no care. Like, you don't care what tribe this person is. You don't care whether you found them in the camp or you're there or your friends. You just touch hands. And I was like, doing yoga, and I'm like, I think this is what I want to do, like whatever she's doing. Because yes, as an acrobat, I'm only entertaining. But as a yoga teacher, the community is participating, they're doing it. And it feels good. Like, we all left laughing. There was laughter, the mood is lighter. There's chit-chat in the camp. By the time we are leaving, they're like, come back again. They want us to come back again. And I'm like, whatever she's doing, I want to do it. But I didn't tell anyone. We just went back home talking about, we should do that yoga thing. But then it wasn't just us who were thinking. Like, it wasn't just me who was thinking, I want to do yoga. It was also like another acrobatic group that was like, Paige, you need to teach us whatever you taught at the camp. We need to know what you're doing. Actually, she was in Kenya volunteering with Sarakas as a yoga teacher when the violence happened. My kind of second class I took was hers. My first class, I didn't know I was doing yoga. So like, my second class I did was with her, and then a lot of them during the circus. But I also didn't do the whole circus. We were not official circus people in the money circus, because we were training to go to Netherlands. So like, my first travel was with acrobatics, and I went to Netherlands. Like, I was performing in Netherlands. First of all, we told everybody in Kariobangi is not that big. Kariobangi is not that big. It's very small, actually. Like, when people hear Kariobangi, they're like, no, it's very small and safe now to live in. We told everyone, we're going to Netherlands. When we went for our passport, we were like, we got our passport. And everybody, it was like a community win. We know like other acrobats have traveled, but not girls, not us. It was like a young generation traveling. And we went to the airport with like 2 matatus, like 2 public buses. That's like maybe 2008. Yeah, because it was the end of the war, 2008. It was amazing. At the airport, we were having fun. Hey, we enjoyed our trip. We performed. We were performing like every day for like 5 days a week. We go to see Netherlands. We go to travel around Amsterdam, Rotterdam. But it was a long time ago. I don't remember so many places. Just having to spend 1 month. It was 1 month with all the girls in this beautiful house, like apartment with like, we all have beds and showers, hot showers. We don't have to do our laundry. And we like being treated like VIPs was really, really amazing. We got to perform and make money. And then we came back and we moved. But don't forget, as a performer, you only pay, you don't have like a monthly pay. You get paid specific amount. When I came back, I was like, I have this money. My mom said she needed a business. I opened a business for her. And then we moved into this house. But then we couldn't pay for it. But we were friends with Paige. And she was like, okay, you don't have to move to that house because, again, security, now people know you have money. Yeah. Don't forget. So it's the same neighborhood. They're friends, but they know we have money. So it's no longer safe for us to stay there. We need like a safer house. We moved, same neighborhood, but a safer apartment. We moved in like into 2 rooms, double rooms. And Paige was paying our rent. And then we continue performing. Now 7 girls in this house. And then we started having boyfriends. But it was like, now it's time for me to date. And I'm talking about like 20, 21. I haven't dated. And even the girls with us like started dating now. And then it was nice. It was good. Like I was starting now to be a teenager. Like at 20. Crazy thing happened. My mom is still drinking. Now she stopped working. She drank all the money I gave her for the business. Yeah, she did buy everything. But then she'll sell, go drinks. Like we had a nice shop. She was selling like plastics, like karai, buckets, like all these things. She was amazing. She will sell drinks. So we never got anything from it. And she went back to drinking now full time. I'm working. And then she ended up being pregnant. I was furious. She won't tell you. Just see big belly and I'm like, are you pregnant? And also something I didn't say, my mom got me when she was really young. She was like 16. So by the time she was 21, she had 3 kids. So now that by the time she decided she wanted a kid. So I think that's when she was ready to have kids. when she was having my brother. But then she ended up drinking so much. So my sister, my now our last born, was not planned at all. She didn't want to keep the baby, and she was like, okay, I'm 4 months pregnant. I need some money to have an abortion. And I was like, go get the dad to do it. I'm not. And I was thinking, but I'm thinking, if she have the baby, I'll end up taking care of the baby. She doesn't have the job. But I was too stubborn. I'm like, no. And she ended up, she continued drinking, but she ended up having the baby. By 8 months, she was like, this baby is not going anywhere. I bet get my act together. And then she started stopping drinking. She had mad withdrawal. Yeah, like really, she got really sick. So she ended up having the baby like a few weeks earlier. And my sister was so tiny because my mom was not taking care of herself when she was pregnant. She took care of herself 1 month before the baby came. We were happy. I was kind of happy. My baby sister was here. We were excited. And then my mom stopped drinking because of the baby. We call her our miracle baby, and I'm so happy she didn't go through with the abortion because she kind of saved my mom's life and our life. Because I was ready to cut my mom. I was like, as soon as my brother is old enough to take care of himself, I'm taking my brother. We're leaving Kariobangi, and she's never gonna see us. And then she stopped drinking, and she was a stay-at-home mom. She didn't have a job. I was supporting her. I was paying her rent. I was now I was performing a lot. I had travel, I think, to Senegal, to other places. I had constant income. And then in 2009, Paige brought a teacher, and she was like, I'm having a yoga teacher training, who want to sign up? Hi. I was the first. I was like, is it the thing we did at the camp? I'm signing up. I signed up for the teacher training in 2009. But also, yes, I was excited. It was the thing we did. I could remember it was yoga. It was the yoga we did. But also it was at the coast. I've never been to the coast. Never been to the coast. Even when we went to the Netherlands, I think that was a lake. I don't know what it was. It wasn't White Beach. But now I'm going to Mombasa. We call it Mombasa, even if I mean the whole coast. We're going to Mombasa. Yeah. The teacher training was in Mombasa, in this nice location. Beachfront. This very famous teacher from the US came. It's completely free. It's on scholarship. We get on a bus. You're getting on a bus with your peer. They're all young people. Everyone under 20. I think the oldest was... we had older guys, 2 of them, but majority were between 18 and 23. It was fun. But then we went to the teacher training. And a yoga teacher training it brings a lot of stuff because you're working out, you're using your body, and you're talking to your people. There's questions that we get asked, what are your fears? What's holding you back? And we start sharing and go I don't have opportunities. You don't know about the slums. There's nowhere to go. And then the show we go but you're here. And then you're like, oh yeah, I've been looking at this thing. I'm saying there's nowhere to go, but I'm not there. I'm at the coast, doing this training. There's so many places to go. I've traveled. What am I telling myself? Why am I telling myself growing in the slums, there's nowhere to go? There's somewhere to go. And I say that opened me up. Something I didn't realize was growing up in Kariobangi, you just in Kariobangi. See, I'm talking about Huruma, Mathare, Kariobangi, Dandora. You don't get exposed to other places. So there's so much limit. So 500 is your goal. Nikipata tu 500. And then you get out of that and maybe come to town and you see a phone and you're like, oh, I love this phone. And this phone is 2,000. Okay, now I need to get 2,000. Then you go home and you work hard because now your goal is no longer 500, it's 2,000. See, now you take more work. And then you come by the phone, you have the radio. Because I'm talking when the phones were kadudus. You have the radio, you're listening to Kiss FM. And then they're talking about all these festivals for artists that they're hosting. And I'm like, I want to go to that. Oh, it's 1,000 for ticket. Okay, I need a ticket. We need a ticket. Let's go look for performance. And we started finding work. And these are all things that happens after I did the yoga teacher training. I know the acrobatics, I was exposed so much, but after performing, all I did was come back home. Then wait for the next performance, come back home, sit. With yoga, I remember, I think it's our 3rd day. So first of all, I thought we'll be swimming the whole time, do our yoga class and then go swim. We saw the beach, it's over there. Because it's a 200-hour teacher training, you need to get 200 hours. And we only have 10 days. So it was 8 to 10 p.m. intense workout. It's boot camp style. So you do your yoga, and then we do discussion sessions where we sit down and just talk. Those were the hard. Actually, the physical isn't hard. The talking part is the hard, because you get to really be true with yourself. You ask yourself questions that you don't want to answer anyone. We journal, you write. I'll journal at night. You'll cry writing. I hate. Okay, now I let go judgment. I let go. I take in acceptance. And that day I was this pose. It's a hip hop and called half pigeon. Now I know, because now I'm a really experienced yogi. Half pigeon, we store a lot of emotions in our joints, and especially with women, we get to store all the negative emotions on our hips. And I remember we were on half pigeon, and I was sobbing. I can't remember why I was crying, but I think I was getting a breakthrough. Oh my God. Why have I been blaming my auntie for not supporting us when we were hungry and she has money? Why am I blaming our government for doing? Because I was blaming the whole world apart from me, and I wasn't doing anything about it. I knew I was in a bad situation. I knew I needed to do something, but I wasn't. I was just sitting down waiting. Hey, gava inafanya kitu. Oh, my grandparent has money. Why am I suffering? My auntie, she need to give us money. And this politician, they need to give us money. And then I'm like, there's nothing I'm talking about myself. And then I was like, I need to accept my situation. In that half pigeon, and I was like, when I go back home, I'm teaching yoga. I know I was going to the teacher training, but I haven't decided I'll teach yoga. And I'm going to a teacher training. It's like going to a teacher's college, but you don't know whether you want to teach or not. And I was like, I'm going to go back home and I'm going to teach yoga. And I left that day feeling so light. I accepted my situation. I was like, yes, I grew up in Kariobangi. That's my background. What can I take from that? I'm a performing artist, and now I have yoga. I have two most powerful tools for any artist: yoga and acrobatics. And I'm a woman also. Into fitness industry. What can stop me? Nothing. So after 10 days, we came back home with Paige. Now Paige has this 40 young people from the slums, and we're all like, when is our first meeting? I was like, okay. Where should we meet? Let's meet to Sarakasi. Now Sarakasi had moved to Ngara. We met at Sarakasi on a Saturday. And then we sat down, everyone, and we made a plan. We're like, what's next? Because now, yes, I've done the training, but I've never done yoga. I'm going to a community who have never heard about yoga. People go like, oh, you're not afraid yoga is a religion. That one I had later. We're talking about no one knew about yoga, so they don't even know whether it's a religion or not. You're talking yoga like yogurt. We met and we made a plan, and Paige was like, okay, so Paige is the founder of Africa Yoga Project. We'll get to Africa Yoga Project later. And we sat down as all teachers are like, okay, let's do this. Everybody for experience, go back, get into groups of 3, teach 3 classes a week. So we got into groups of 3. We went back, and then we're like, okay, where do we teach? We started scouting for locations. So we went to a school in Huruma because one of my group mates was from Huruma. We're like, we want to teach yoga. Okay. Come teach yoga. They're like, fine. And then we went to our community hall. We talked to the people in Kariobangi. We're like, can we be teaching a women's class here? And they're like, okay. And then we found more classes. And then I went back home and I'm like, who will be my student? I was like, mom. My mom. And I was like, you with your alcoholic friends, come to yoga. And then she will bring her friends. So we decided to do in the morning because by 2 p.m. they were drunk. So not for 10 a.m. So see, I'm thinking in Swahili. So 10 a.m. we meet and then we do yoga. Okay? Bring your friends. She's like, yes. And I'm like, because it will make me money. If I have money, then you have rent. Okay? Okay. She brought her friends. And that's how I started teaching women. And they were religiously every Tuesday of the week, community hall. Everybody knew, even boxers, if they entered the hall, they knew Tuesday. Niskia women, and we'll do yoga, we practiced, and the classes start growing. We had but it was just women. That was my protest, because with school you can only teach in the school. We had other young kids coming, we had girls our age coming, and we had all these women coming. I remember I started getting cancer patients and diabetic, and we're like, okay, all we do will go back to Paige, like, okay, now I have somebody with cancer, how do we do it? And then we'll research yoga for cancer, yoga for diabetic, and yoga for that. And then any opportunity that had a training on any of these, Paige will bring the teacher and we will all train that and do that. And I continued teaching community classes. And my mom completely stopped drinking. Yeah, she say a little bit of it is yoga. And I think a lot of it is yoga. And my sister, obviously. And when was it? Like in 2010, she moved back to Muranga. And now she's a farmer. Yeah, like... I continued teaching yoga, and then in 2010, I had a yoga baby. So I met my baby daddy in the training. We were in love, and then we had a yoga baby. So like, I had a yoga baby in 2010. And then I started teaching yoga. So can you imagine, like, it was that complicated and simple. I started teaching yoga everywhere in Nairobi. So I in 2009 I was teaching in Kariobangi, and then I expanded. In like 2010 I was teaching at like a corporate office in Uziru for like the workers, and then I got a job with the UN, and then I was like we had Africa Yoga Project as a non-profit that trains youths for yoga teacher training. Like, I was everywhere and I was good, and I had a baby, like I said. By 2012, I was still teaching community classes. All these classes I'm talking in Huruma, Kariobangi, those are free classes, so people come for, all these women were coming for free. Then Africa Yoga Project will pay a stipend to the teacher. So I was getting like every 2 weeks, 2,000. So that was good. I stopped performing completely because I'm like, I want to do full-time yoga. A full-time yoga teacher. And then I moved from Kariobangi in 2012. And for the first, even when I was making all this money, again, it's not easy because I get so scared of judgment. So I just want to be comfortable with my people who understands me. So I was still living in one room, but now nicer, bigger, bigger. At least now we have 8 families, 4 bathrooms. So, I moved for the first time in my life into a 2-bedroom. So from a single room, I didn't go to like bed sitter, 1 bedroom. Which I should have done all that. My daughter was like 1 year and a half. I was living with her dad. We were like once a small family. And she was talking, by 1 year and a half, she was talking and running around. She was a very smart kid. We moved from Kariobangi to Mlango Kubwa. And I was scared for the past 2 months. Like, I was so paranoid. I thought somebody was in my daughter's bedroom. I'll check under the bed. I thought somebody was in the bathroom. I'll check. Like, that's why I say, like, I should have slowly escalated. Like, I don't know, because I've never lived in a big house, and I was so paranoid, like, what if somebody walks in? What somebody's hiding in this room? What somebody's hiding in this room? And then my daughter was like, the first day we were there, because she's used like to neighbors, all these houses have neighbors. She'd go like, open the bedroom, 1 bedroom, and go like, hey, Nani? They're like, whose house is this? And they're like, ours. And then she go to the kitchen, Nahi? And I go like, ours? Yeah. And then she go to the cho. And then she go to the city, Nahi? Like, she'll ask questions. It was amazing. It was crazy. And then in 2012, I did my second yoga teacher training. So now, not the workshop, the teacher training for level 2. And I did it in Mexico. Amazing, beautiful. Again, the beach. Maya Tulum. It was beautiful. And then 2 years later, I did my level 3. Now, after I did my level 3, now I am qualified to facilitate. So I'm still working with the Africa Yoga Project as a yoga teacher, so teaching in the communities. And then I came back and I created a position called Empowerment Coach, because now I did my training in 2009. And then in 2010, we trained a new group of teachers. Same with 2012. So all these teachers needed like feedback, guidance, all that. So I created a position where I was the empowerment coach. I'll come to your outreach classes, like now free yoga classes, help you with the setup as a new teacher, and then give you feedback when you teach and go like, yeah, ABCD was amazing. You need to work on this. So I got a monthly payment. So I got a position at the organization. After I did my level 3, 2-3 months later, I joined another colleague who was already doing like weekly sessions with the new teachers. just to get the methodology, get the philosophy of yoga, get into teaching, practice teaching. I joined him, and every Wednesday we will meet. Now Africa Yoga Project moved from Sarakasi to Parklands, and we'll meet weekly because now we have a community space and just teach new teachers how to, teach yoga and how to be in the world, how to teach privates, how to communicate and blah, blah, blah. So it kind of started like a mini academy, and that evolved into a full-time academy. So by the time Julie was coming in, I was the director of teachers. So I was in charge of all trainings, on the mat trainings happening on the organization. In 2013, I led my first training. So I'm the first woman in Africa actually to lead a 200-hour yoga teacher training. A first Kenyan woman in Africa.
What?
Yeah, to lead a 200 teacher training. I have done a lot of them in Kenya, Nairobi. We do both Nairobi and Amboseli. And then I did one in Mombasa, and I have done one in Egypt. Yeah, it's crazy how all those, like as a kid I didn't have this crazy goal of becoming a yoga teacher or being like an influential Black woman, and see where I am right now. And I'll say what I've taken from all that is acceptance, because the moment I accepted my situation, the moment I accepted no one is coming to help me. And it's true, no one is coming to help you. You need to help. It's you who need to go for things. Because the moment I accepted I needed to do something, then things started showing up for me. When I went to the UN, nobody cared how I came from Karabwangi. But if you ask me, I'll go like, I'll never go to the UN. Oh, I'm from the slums. They don't want slum people there. But when you go there, nobody cares. They're looking at you as their teacher, and they're waiting for you to tell you. And I'm there telling all these diplomats, okay, everybody downward facing dog, and they're doing it. I think it's the where you grow up and the exposure. Exposure is so important. Yeah. Now I see like a lot of, I still go back to Kariobangi, and anytime we have an opportunity to take kids to Arboretum, I see fellow yoga teachers taking kids to Arboretum. If you have an opportunity to take them, just go see the museum. And schools are doing that now. Like when I was growing up, we didn't go to trips. They're doing that. Exposure is so important. I think exposure, then experience. Because then after you expose, then you want to do it, then experience will do it. You will come. And that's why now my passion is to share, especially with Kenyan youths and Black women, Kenyan African women, my experience. And the only way I know how to share my experience is through yoga. So the reason I'm into teacher training is because Africa Yoga Project gives scholarships to people like me. They come and do yoga, and I can lead, I can teach them, I can tell them how to, by the time we are graduating teachers, I'm so happy. I'm like, my purpose, that's how I give back to the community. So we have a retreat coming up with Legally Clueless community. It's a yoga retreat. What I haven't shared yet is I also get into trauma-informed yoga, because I realized even with my story, I went through so many traumatic events, but naturally I thought trauma events is like maybe being, watching a murder, or I don't know. I didn't realize even physical abuse that we say discipline is trauma. Mm-hmm. Going home to bed without food is traumatic. Growing around a very violent neighborhood, it's trauma. And I realized a lot of us have trauma. So I get into trauma-informed yoga, and for the retreat, we'll focus more, on trauma-informed yoga. We'll do a yoga session. We will meditate, and then we'll do a journaling session and talking and sharing. With trauma-informed yoga, you don't share about your trauma. You don't come there and go this and this happened. To me, we just learn tools on how to cope with the trauma and identify triggers. And what I love it the most was how something bad happens to you, or someone does something bad to you, and then you see somebody who looks exactly like them, and then you're triggered. With trauma-informed yoga, we learn how to identify it's not that person. It's just a trigger. They're not gonna harm me. They definitely don't even see me. They're minding their own business, and it's a very nice process, nice session. Yeah. One thing that yoga has given me, I'll say, it's my life back. So I feel like before yoga, I was upside down, and I was gonna head into either drugs, either early marriage, I won't lie, prostitution. I don't know, maybe die from drugs. But kind of yoga gave me back my life. because I know the life I wanted. But then the situation was giving me, my environment, my ignorance, my non-exposure was giving something I didn't want. And yoga gave me my life back. Yoga saved my life, literally. And my mom's.
Catch more African stories in the next episode of Legally Clueless. How powerful is her story? We recorded it, and then afterwards I was just like, oh my God, can we just get into a car and go to Muranga now and record your mom's story as well? Because that's amazing. Isn't it so interesting how whatever your destiny is, it will almost find you? And I know that sounds like such a hippie thing to say, and I am a hippie, so just bear with me. But honestly, when you listen to stories like this, it's like you were just doing your thing, going through life, and then your destiny and the thing you're meant to be doing finds you where you are. It's really just magical to listen to, honestly. And once you meet Catherine, you will absolutely fall in love with her. We had a bit of like a mini session, and she's so graceful. At least I thought I didn't have balance, but she was like, no, you actually do have balance, because I was doing some of the yoga poses, and she teaches you like little, not tricks, but like tips actually, that you can do to make some of the poses easier for you. She really makes me understand, even in her story, you could hear the emotional side of yoga and how it brings you closer to yourself. So I really want you to experience that at our yoga well-being session. So 6th of August, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's here in Nairobi. Our first ever event as Legally Clueless Africa. So I'm very happy because we've been very intentional with this one. We're going to give you some nice yummy lunch. Tickets are 4,000 bob. We only have 20 slots. Only 20 slots because it has to be very intimate. And we're going to be doing 3 things: body movements, meditation, and there's going to be sharing circles as well. So head over to legallycluelessafrica.com for more details. Another thing you should remember, for those of you in Kenya, is you can catch us on Trace FM. Yeah, the FM, bam, like that. I can't believe it's been 3 years. We're in our 3rd year of being syndicated on Trace. Where's the applause? Bring it back. And so it's very exciting to still be on there. Trace are fantastic family, and in time I'll be sharing more stuff that we're doing with Trace that you'll enjoy being part of. But as for now, just catch us there every single Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. and every single Friday at 1 p.m. Okay, time for me to wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the very end, and I'll catch you right here next week in episode 175. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.